Yeah? Oh, you did, yeah. I didn't realize it was an IoT book. I thought it was just an outcome economy.
Well, it's outcome-based economy was predicated on deployment of IoT.
Oh, so cool.
Kind of all together.
That's awesome.
Yeah, this would be a great book to develop a whole course.
Really?
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, and the third of it's not super technical. The last third of the book is all the technologies involved. It's got a combination of both the business and the technology. It's a really good book.
You got a remote?
Okay, do you need this anymore?
I do not. You're ready. You can keep that. And your choice of interpretation.
I'll drop the microphone.
All right.
If you don't mind, I'd rather have this stuff. Okay.
No problem at all. Do the test.
Let's go, bro.
Hello, you guys hear me?
Let's go.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
A couple of hours there.
Take those passwords, leave out for now.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, yeah, all set.
Okay.
The class switch time is around 4:20. So if you want to like go for questions about 4:10, there's a clock up there.
Oh, the one I can't see?
Yeah, the glare is just well positioned.
I had LASIK surgery like 20 years ago, and I definitely needed two.
Oh yeah.
It's just bad. I mean, bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, me driving at night is not exactly the thing people want to see very often. So. Yeah, this morning, my Outlook crashed on my PC.
No.
I didn't even have your last name. I couldn't even, I was freaking out about it. I don't know, it's 6:30 or 7 that I get and about 10 o'clock I was through this, so I found Darla's phone number and I look and my phone, I text him, I go, hey, you got to get a hold of her. I don't know what the hell.
Oh no.
But then I found the guy that was about noon.
Oh.
1 o'clock. That's why I said, don't worry about it. You got to go.
Oh man.
Now that I was in panic mode this morning, I was like, holy cow. Yeah.
I've been in class basically all day from 10 to just before this.
Oh,
So I check my email with breaks and whatever, and I'm like, oh god.
well, I lucky it worked on my phone, but I couldn't access anything. I couldn't access any of my folders. I couldn't access the calendar. Anything. I had no way to get a hold of this at all. And so I emailed, I emailed Dario on my Outlook on my phone.
It's so much fun.
Everything.
Oh yeah, my loading is
Right. What are you gonna do for the rest of this? With my email.
calendar.
Right, yeah.
I mean, I can't calendar. I guess it's going all day long.
I have a tool that syncs with my personal Google account.
Oh yeah.
But,
So you said class switch is at 4:20?
yeah, class switch is at 4:20, so those are gonna start bailing out around.
So I should stop it. What's the title? Line IoT business development.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Going back to Colorado, each 3 months. How do I do? Like, yeah.
don't have.
Oh, really? Yeah. I think it was when you go out, you stick your card back in, and tell the time charge. Pretty simple.
All right. Well, you don't have to worry about weird. Yeah. Whole building is. New 200 bags of bucks every couple hours and then wears down up the back.
Oh, yeah.
The Braco is either it's a reader in their first month.
Yes, it's right here.
Probably some random words. Pretty close to film. It's already pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh. Okay.
We had Deloitte coming in and talking about Google earlier. What they got? We're talking to Google Cloud.
I don't. Oh, really?
I mean, that's great.
I might go early.
So the trend has been half like, let's talk about the world, type of stuff, the industry, that, or like the lawyers, which is a lot of actually there's a fair amount of overlap. I see there is more so it was, but then they still have a little history. Totally recall. All kinds of
Shut the hell up. Ask the question. Shut up and listen.
You're good. I like that. Right.
They show up for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. So not just that, were born after that year. It's freaking me out.
Right.
But proximity between me and us, and then like everything that I go on, I have no idea. I have no clue. And or at least have a common language in some way. And we can talk afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay. That'd be great. Yeah. See. At least they're
It's a rule. If I were going to do a course,
Yeah.
this is what I just do this book right here.
Awesome.
Oh, okay, that never happens.
I bought it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, nice.
So it really.
We've been looking at, we have a lot of commonality. Something like that.
I didn't know the CTO for but yeah.
Yeah, usually, I usually give them a people for
Yep. Make it really simple.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Oh, with Lou? Yeah, a little bit, not really. Lou is a lot more. Here's that. Now, this is more about industry, trends. I didn't know library. I think forward, discipline, educational background. so I got 5. Yeah, it's much more. You guys much better. Can be in the partner. Study stuff.
Switch on your mic.
Oh, yeah, sure. Hello? You guys hear me? Can you hear me? Awesome.
Fantastic. All right, we're going to get started. Thank you all for showing up. It is my pleasure to present Rick Caylor from Avnet. He is the Director of IoT Business Development. And without further ado, take it away.
Thanks. Hi, everybody. As you guys know, my name's Rick, and good, figure this out. You broke it? Oh, there you go. Okay, this is kind of what we're going to cover today. Anytime I'm really informal, so anytime you guys have questions, just either raise your hand. I can't see, I'm blind, so maybe if you just yell, that's even better. And we can maybe get through this in about 35 minutes or so, maybe 40, and then we have the Q&A at the end. First of all, who am I? Other than my name's Rick. I have a BS in Business Management, and MBA, concentrated both on marketing and finance. After that, I was a news and launch officer down in silos at Caylor. That was interesting. Then I worked for Avnet for about 20 years. Avnet, if you guys don't know, we're an electronic distribution company. We're about $20 billion. Been around about 98 years. We're headquartered right here in town. Actually, not too far from this building, across 143 off of University. Anyway, so that's kind of what I do. I've been at it for 20 years, and I've been involved in IoT for about 5 of that. IoT is relatively new, obviously, and we're going to get into why I think it's important. What IoT is, have you guys, most of you know what IoT is, right? Internet of Things? You're okay with that? Awesome. It's kind of a series of technologies that are combined together to create a connected environment for a product, or a device, an asset, right? A physical thing. It's making inanimate physical things animated. In other words, you can then have that thing, quote unquote, talk to you and tell you what it's doing, how it's performing, if it's failing, if it's not failing. You get into predictability of that asset. So think about it. Almost everything we touch and see is possibly an IoT deployment or an implementation, which gives you a lot of hope, if you will, for future opportunity. Now I'm going to go through this real quick. This is just kind of what's involved in IoT from a kind of a high level. You've got on the, do I have a pointer? I guess I don't. All right, not number one, the devices. That's the thing, right? The coffee maker, jet engine, electric motor, chair, and then you got sensors and actuators and things that sends off of that asset what it's doing, how it's performing, whether the engine's on or off, whether the elevator is going up or down, whether there's misalignment of the doors in the elevator. Is the coffee maker on? If it's on, is it brewing at the right temperature, right? So that's what all those sensors do. There's connectivity up through a gateway. And what happens is all of the sense activity, the information, the data, gets sent to the gateway, and then it all depends on the environment and the business model as to whether or not the data at the gateway is going to be having any computing done there. It's called edge or fog computing. I don't know if you guys ever heard that term. Has it heard of fog computing? No. Okay. Cloud, right? Like 2 kinds of clouds, right? Clouds you see in the sky, cumulus and cirrus and all that garbage, or cloud like computing. Go stuff to the cloud. Go stuff to the cloud, right? Well, if you think about it, what happens, or how does the fog get created in the first place in nature? Clouds drop down to the ground, so it's closer to the ground, right? Okay. In the computing world, you have compute power in the cloud. And when you bring that compute power down to what we call the edge, which is right there, you brought the cloud down to the ground. So that's why it's called fog computing or edge computing. What that does is it allows for only specific exceptions or anomalies to be transmitted to the cloud. Therefore, your deployment is less costly. You don't have to pay for the sudden data transmission yet. That's what that is, yeah. Yeah, gateway. Yeah, it's the gateway, right? And you can deploy the gateway with very little computing on it or a whole bunch. We're going to be doing some AI at the gateway. Okay? And then once it goes transmits to the cloud, whatever you're transmitting to the cloud, then you do analytics on the data. You put it in data lakes. You can then visualize it, use dashboards to present the data back to whomever wants to have it or needs it. And you can also send messages back down to the device itself, whether it's an electric motor or a coffee maker, and maybe do some remote commands or rules back to the asset itself. So that's kind of basically, in a real high level, what makes up an IoT solution. And the interesting part about IoT, I'll say it now. IoT is not new. You think it's new because it's kind of a fancy term. It's been about 5 or 6 years. It's not new. In 1998, in Palo Alto, California, Xerox put a bunch of sensors in a can of paint, and they painted a wall, and they could measure the number of people in that room. It's over 20 years ago, right? So IoT is not new. It is highly complex to connect all the devices that we're talking about, but it's not new, okay? And I'll get into why it's now getting legs here in a second. These are basically the technical building blocks of IoT. You've got hardware, you've got connectivity, and you've got software and services. That's basically the gist of it all, right? The connectivity is a small piece incrementally in terms of the percentage, but it's highly important because if you don't have connectivity, you really don't have an IoT solution, right? And then you've got services all throughout, which you guys don't care about right now. I can talk about later. Let me go. So IoT, though, is one of the reasons why it's so hard to deploy IoT is you can't go to a company and get it done. You can't just go to Microsoft or to Google or Deloitte or Cisco. You can't do it, right? Because not everybody makes all the things you need. And up here, it's a really fragmented landscape. And so much as you've got sensors, devices, gateways, cloud, analytics, security all throughout the hardware and software. So you've got, obviously dashboards and visualization, analytics engines. So if you can't go to one company and get all, because no one company makes all that stuff, right? So it's a highly orchestrated ecosystem of suppliers and partners that a customer or a company, let's say it's JCI, Junction Control, right, to make a bunch of equipment stuff, right? Among other things, also make household thermostats. Anyway, so JCI or Honeywell or John Deere, Capstone, they all have to go out and hire or orchestrate the different suppliers, other different companies who provide those technologies, right? It's really complex and hard. And it really delays time to market, and not in weeks or months, but in years, okay? So what we did at Avnet, we actually now can do every bit of that. We don't make anything hard, okay? But what we are, you look at this almost like a systems integrator / consultant, like a Deloitte and Touche, and let's say an Insight. So systems integrator with consulting attached to it, that's what we do in terms of delivering that entire end-to-end solution, because we don't make anything. We just distribute for a whole 407 different electronic component suppliers, Cisco, HP, for the gateway stuff, Dell. So anyway, as you can see, it's really complex. And for customers to try and tackle this on their own, it's almost impossible. UTC, United Technologies Otis Elevator, is a division of theirs, and Otis has been working on trying to get a connected elevator for over 3.5 years. We did it in 6 months. Not because we're Avnet, we're super. It's just that we're like one throat to choke, right? And we're doing all this. We have a lot of these capabilities. We bought companies to have them. Now we can run under Avnet control, so it's a lot easier to orchestrate that whole thing when you can draw from these other companies that we bought and bring it all together. But again, if you do it yourself as a company, it's really hard. This is an eye chart, and I apologize, I can't even see it, and I'm right here. This just demonstrates the success factor, what's driving success in IoT. And one of them, as you can see, is analytics, right? Because you've got data, and data doesn't mean anything unless you turn it into information, usable information and insights, so you can action those insights, right? So that's one of the primary success factors. Another one is executive sponsorship, right? IoT is not thought of like in a product, right? It's not a product-driven issue. It's not an engineering-driven. For God's sake, it's not an IT-driven issue. IoT is a high-level business strategy customers need to employ because, and the reason why high level the executives have to buy in and have the sponsorship is because as disruptive as IoT is to the market at all, outside your company, it's as disruptive, if not more, internally within the organization. I'll give you an example. You've got engineering, you've got IT, you've got quality, you've got customer service, you've got marketing, you've got finance, you've got product development, customer service. All these different areas will be impacted in some way, shape, or form, even HR, by IoT deployments in the field. Or internally within the company, whether you're deploying on a factory floor or in a warehouse or on supply chain activities, but those will all be impacted by IoT. So you got to have a buy-in and understanding and agreement upon use cases and business outcomes by all those different affected parties internally, otherwise it falls apart. That's why the executive sponsorship is one of the key success factors of IoT, along with don't try and do it all yourself. Okay, Gartner and McKinsey and Cisco all three did studies that said the two main reasons that 75 to 80% of initial IoT projects fail is just those two reasons. Do it yourself and no internal alignment across multiple departments. Questions? Yeah.
Yeah, so one of the big problems that, from a technical perspective, is lack of standardization.
Correct.
All these enterprises trying to do their own thing. So,
Yeah.
Given, I can imagine, like, very easily imagine, like, a working protocol, like, the fact that you have, like, a working company operating system. So, like, if Avnet is buying out companies, sponsoring their own business, and stuff like that,
Yeah.
how do you get somebody else, like, Cisco, and I'm not sure under what version of Avnet, like, how do you build a comprehensive IoT solution if you already have the best interest in promoting their program?
From a communication protocol point of view, there's the Zigbee, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, LoRa, tons. And they have nothing to do with the company. That, we can deploy, and so do a lot of other people. Companies can deploy under different communication protocols. They touch like different projects. They use different firmware updates with all of that. It's not really a situation where we have to have a specific company that does LoRa and a specific company that does Zigbee, one that does Wi-Fi and DLE. Those communication protocols, yes, they need to be standardized, and yeah, it's a mess. You've got Industrial IoT Consortium, you've got Open Cloud Consortium, you know, a whole bunch of others that they're all trying to figure out how to standardize certain things. But it's more about interoperability than it is anything else. Because interoperability, let me explain it real quickly. You're in an ambulance, and you're all sick or whatever, you got hit by a truck. And you're going down the road, you wouldn't want that ambulance to get to the hospital pretty damn quick. Otherwise you die. And on the way, it would be great if the doctor already knew at the hospital what was wrong with you and all your vitals and can begin administering, medicine or whatever to fix you up while you're en route, as opposed to wait until you get there. Well, to do all that, you also got to go really fast, and you got to make sure all the traffic lights are green. Okay, well, there's a whole bunch of different systems that I just named off that need to work together and communicate with one another. That's your point about systems, about standardization of protocols. It's about how you can communicate cross systems, and we don't have that right now. When I say we, I mean nobody, the industry. We're not there yet. We're still trying to figure it out. But, yeah.
have like a,
I don't, okay, repeat the question, I'm not sure I understood.
like, I don't mind.
Yeah.
Usually,
Yeah. Well, you're correct. In that you do have to, but the communication from the edge to the cloud has a lot to do with not just the technology piece, because there's lots of different pieces. It's got to do with the business model. You know, what's the ROI supposed to look like? How often is it supposed to reach? How robust is the data sensing activity to be? How much do you do at the edge? And then how much that load goes up? If it's video and you're streaming the whole thing, that's a whole other set of problems versus once an hour pinging the motor, making sure it's on and sending that one ping up to the internet. So you're right, okay, but again, a lot of it has to depend on the business model. Is what you want is the outcome, and that's what will help drive the selection we talk about. This is just like a history of disruptive megatrends, and we had steam, we had mass production, seven line forward motor, and computing, and now we're into the fourth intelligence, IoT, industrial revolution, whatever you want to call it, right? Forget this thing. And why is it important? Like I said before, virtually every single industry is going to be deploying IoT in many different areas, not just in industries where they build stuff, and not just on that built product are they going to deploy IoT. It'll be deployed all throughout their company. It'll be deployed literally everywhere. So every one of you guys, eventually you'll probably get jobs, probably open. I can't think of a more vibrant or opportunistic area to be in than IoT. About 25 years ago, I'm old, I'm 62. So about 25 years ago, mid-30s, there was a trend in the electronics industry called contract manufacturing, where before, everybody built their own stuff. Like HP had their own factory, right? Everybody built their own thing. They designed it, they built it, usually right there. Then all of a sudden NAFTA came on board, they kind of shipped stuff down to Mexico, but it's still their own plants, right? Well, then they had this thing called contract manufacturing came out, which is where it's all about ROA and return on asset for a company. So if I'm a company, if I'm HP, what do I want to, if I had $1, what would I spend that dollar on? I spend it on capital equipment to build something, or I spend it on R&D to make the next generation of widgets and differentiate my product and get more market share. I'm not a genius. I'm going with option B. I don't spend it on capital equipment to make this stupid thing. So contract manufacturing started building up and getting momentum in the industry. And in 1991, I saw this. I go, okay, I'm going to skip where the puck's going to be. That's when Gretzky's flying, not mine. So I did. Created a business plan for Avnet, turned into a $4 billion piece of business for Avnet that I was running. And it was only because you want to identify megatrends and get there quicker. Prepare yourself to get there quicker. And that's the reason I wanted to bring up the whole thing about the opportunity in IoT. Skate where the puck's going to be. Okay, and I'll explain a little bit more about how you do that in a second. We'll talk a little bit more about business models a little bit later, which is really interesting to me. I think the business model thing is the most exciting part about deploying IoT. And while I'm on the subject, I don't promote books very often. This isn't my book. But this book, I was telling Ryan that this book, I swear by it. It's a book by Bruce Sinclair, who's known as like a IoT guru. It's outcome-based economy. It'll change how we live. Okay, IoT will. I'm not being dramatic. I'm being dead serious. I'll explain why in a second. Some of the other things that IoT does is enhance the time to market, creates a more focused product development strategy. for your company if you're making products. Obviously, the customer service experience, the customer experience in general is enhanced. I'll get into why that is in a second. As I mentioned before, it's not new. I mentioned this story to you in 1998 about Palo Alto. And there's reasons why this stuff is exploding. Okay, again, these technologies that make up IoT are not new, but things have happened over the last, I'd say, 10 years or so, 15 years, that have allowed for the financials to become so attractive to companies that now IoT is viewed as a viable option to differentiate themselves with higher margins, better market share, better customer sat, quick time to market for new products. Okay? And I just listed a few of them up there. You know, storage got cheap. Okay? Storage is really cheap compared to about 20 years ago. Sensor pricing came down. It all depends on who you read. McKinsey, I think, had an 85%, Gartner's at 70. I put, what is it, 75%, 70, something like that? Oh, it is like 70, yeah. So the sensor pricing came down 70%. So now a business can afford to put a bunch of sensors on a coffee maker to monitor the coffee use, the pH, or the water, the purity of the water, the type of bean, how many beans are being used, when it can be replenished. Avnet deployed in Starbucks, and that's what we do now. Their coffee machines are smart, if you will, right? And it's all for the reasons of two things. One is driving more velocity for the baristas in making the coffee, because the machines have higher asset utilization, because now we're monitoring are the machines actually running, and if they are running, great. If they're running, but there's some problem that's going to be a big problem, like it's going to crack out down the road in 5 days, that's called predictive maintenance. Well, we can see that up front, get it fixed, so the asset utilization goes up, right? And like I said, the proliferation of cloud technologies and the connectivity enhancements have all contributed to a more rapid development or adoption of IoT. This is just a graphic. This is from Gartner. You know, the central pricing is down, bandwidth is way up, processing is way up, storage is way down in terms of price. So those are, like I said, reasons why. Again, stuff isn't new, man. Not new at all. Just more financially viable for companies. And this is I just threw this slide up. I don't know what I got. IoT analytics research. That's what I got. This is demonstration number of connected devices next few years to 2025. So you can see it kind of goes up a lot, and all those connected, those IoT devices represent a business model that the company's trying to deploy. So why IoT? CapEx and OpEx. CapEx is capital expenditures, OpEx is operational expenditures. So when you run a P&L, one thing you hate is a surprise. You know, Wall Street doesn't really care too much what they care. They care more about predictability and you have control of your business than they do how fast you're growing. Because if you're growing really fast, but you are all over the map in terms of profitability and controlling your expenses, they don't like it. You can have revenues going up 5% a quarter, but if you have out of control expenses, or your message to the street was I'm gonna grow 2% and you grew 10%, that also says you have no idea what you're doing in running your business, right? And so Wall Street rewards companies who run clean business. Now, if you look at OpEx versus CapEx, people hate CapEx. When I say people, I mean companies in general. Except utilities, they don't count. You know that. But everybody else loves OpEx and hates CapEx because CapEx is not predictable when it comes to comparing it to the profitability and the margins you create off the asset or the solution for delivering to the customer base. So everybody's trying to move as much of their expenses to operational as they can versus capital. I'll give you an example. So let's say you've got an airline that you run. I wish I did, but I don't. Anyway, an airline. And you have to buy a Pratt & Whitney or a Rolls Royce or somebody's jet engine, right? It's a big expenditure, probably $10, $15 million just for one engine. A lot of money. And then you have to capitalize or amortize it over 10, 15 years or whatever the CFO schedule is, right? Well, that's not a recurring ongoing expense. That's a one-time pop, right? Happens every few years, depending on, the usage, is it breaking down, have to replace them, whatever, right? But those are incremental things you have to plan for, yet you really don't know whether or not you're going to buy it or when you're going to buy it specifically. You can put aside money every quarter, say I'm going to buy in 3 years because you think you're going to need a jet engine in 3 years. Well, what if you don't need one for 10 years? You don't know that because you don't know until you actually need it. Or what if it breaks, you need it in 6 months and not 3 years when you plan for 3 years to have money to buy it. So you can see, in managing a P&L, that's problematic. Well, enter IoT. You can convert that CapEx to OpEx. The Rolls-Royce did this about 8, 9 years ago, I think. It's called Power by the Hour. They sell a jet engine. They sell thrust. What you really want, you care less about an engine. Engine's just something, who cares? What the airline wants is thrust because it moves the plane. So when you get billed on thrust, you can directly compare that to the profit you make when the plane's in the air and you're, passengers or cargo or whatever you're delivering in terms of a service or a product, and you're somebody's paying you for it. You can directly marry that margin and that profit and that revenue to that expense because they're the product of one and the same, 1-to-1 ratio. Does that make sense? Way better than saving up, hoping that you nailed it as far as when you need that new jet engine. So that's kind of, long story short, OpEx versus CapEx and why IoT is so attractive to many, many companies. I won't read through all these. The predictability obviously is really important, not just from an operational expense point of view, but also from an asset performance point of view. You have maintenance, right? And it used to be a periodic maintenance, every 3 months you go out there and fix something or inspect it. Why? Why do you do that? Because you have to or you want to. Sometimes it's regulation, it's another stupid thing, but the government says you got to do it for no apparent reason, but they do. But now with IoT, there's a significant argument to be made that says, hey, why are we doing any of this? Let's just go out and fix it when we know it's going to break before it breaks. That's predictability. That's one of the other issues. There's another interesting phenomenon that it really struck me as weird about 3 years ago. Not 2 years ago. I got doing some research and we'll find out it's not weird at all. 3 years ago, I think it was, the insurance industry had their first IoT conference for their whole industry. So why the hell would an insurance company want to be an IoT? No products, right? They don't build anything. I mean, they have financial stuff to do with it. I mean, analytics on that, that's great. Back off. It's weird. What we just talked about, predictability with IoT, you predict the performance of an asset. When the player was doing break for a break. What does an insurance company do? They charge premiums, so when it breaks, they'll be able to give you a new one, they'll give you money, hopefully. You go get a new one. What if I'm a company? Let's say I'm a farmer. I got a tractor. I have HSB or Munich Re or Swiss Re, those are the two largest industrial reinsurers in the world. Why am I paying my premium? I'm paying a premium because I have no alternative. But what if, as a farmer, I had a connected tractor, and I knew exactly when that tractor was going to break before it broke. And so then I could go back to the insurance company and go, you know what, you're charging all this money. And I know, because my tractor's talking to me every damn day, what's going to happen with that tractor and when. So I'm not paying you this amount, I'm now going to pay you this amount. That's always how I need to pay you. Now, the power of predictability is now in the hands of the insurer, not the insurer. So guess what? There's a huge race for. So who's going to, and that power struggle, who's going to win? Insurance companies are mega rich. There's HSB, which is Division Munich Re in Hartford. I was there at corporate headquarters. They had a freaking Picasso in their damn lobby. A Picasso. I hate insurance companies, period. But it's a whole other conversation. But Think about it, right? Now the insurance companies are freaking out. They're going, oh my God, all these customers, all these companies that we charge them premiums for, because they really don't know what the hell is going on with their assets. Now, if they have that information, and we don't, they can come to us and they will do the negotiating with us. And we will have to pay them what they say it's worth because they have all the data now. That's why insurance companies are having these IoT conferences. And a very interesting phenomenon happened about a year and a half ago. I used to work for a company called Caylor, an IoT cloud platform. Start. We were bought 2 years ago for $330 million. A freaking startup IoT cloud platform company. And HSB, Division of Munich, we're the largest reinsurer in the world. Or Swiss is either Swiss or Munich is number one. That was number two. But they paid us $300 million for a cloud platform because they want to get into the IoT space because it's all about business outcomes. Guarantee with business outcomes. You have a corner on that market. Okay, so that's why the insurance thing is really intriguing to me. One other thing that you need to is that 4 or 2? This is what it is. Everybody gets confused with IoT. In my world, because I've been in high tech most of my life, right? And everybody thinks IoT is a problem. In fact, companies, when they go and look at deploying IoT solutions, they think it's a product. So you get a bunch of engineers in a room, and they approach it as a product, like they're designing another product that company makes. That's not how you do it, because IoT is not a product. And that's where they fail. That's why they do it internally, and they try and do it all themselves. They fall on their face. It's not a product, it's not a vertical market, it's not an application, it's not an industry. As I told you, it's just connecting inanimate objects and making them animated so they can talk to you. That's about it, right? The numbers are big. I mean, McKinsey Global Institute had a report out about 3 years ago. Still recognized kind of the Bible of IoT, whatever. 127 pages. The rest of the time, there's no reason to know that. Not exactly an exciting read, so if you're sleepy, don't pick it up. It's just a report you online. But it was talking about hype versus reality, and they're saying that the reality is going to be bigger than the hype with IoT, because it really will virtually impact everybody and everything. This is what's going on right now. That's why I think IoT is so important. You guys are all like what? Junior, seniors, grads, what? Senior? Okay, so you're on the cusp of, oh my God, go back home to live with mom and dad or get a job, right? Awesome. Been there, done that. Didn't go back home. I went to optical training school, but in there, that's where I got it. Anyway, this is going on right now, guys. Look, this is fascinating. 69% are currently exploring IoT initiatives and projects inside their own company. 69, almost 70% of all companies out there are looking at IoT and going, we need a strategy around IoT and full-on digital transformation of our company. Okay, so that doesn't mean you're employing it. That doesn't mean it's already been deployed in all kinds of different places. That's why I have a job, because it's not all deployed. Not much of it is actually, to be honest. There's only about 3 or 4 companies that are really, I would say, leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else in terms of real IoT adoption on a massive scale internally. It's Disney, it's Monsanto, it's Caterpillar, it's John Deere. Those are about 4 that really have embraced IoT, and I think really understand more better than most on how to deploy digital transformation and IoT projects and initiatives inside their company and really embrace the whole executive sponsorship, company alignment, departmental alignment. But again, very, very few, and so the opportunity is humongous. This is the first way. You guys really want to get a copy of this. You have to take a picture of it. If you want. But anyway, this is the economic impact in all those nine areas. Yeah, 9. This is from McKinsey Global Institute, that report I was telling you about. And nothing more than to say there's a bunch of opportunity in every single freaking industry you can think of, or every single market you can think of. So IoT is business model changes. That's where it starts from. It does not start in engineering. It sure as hell doesn't start in IT. There's a report that came out last year that by the year 2021 or 22, 50% of IT budgets are gone. Now, they're not gone because companies can't afford to invest in IT. They're moving. The budget's still there, just ain't in IT, in IoT. Okay? That's important to know. So if you're an IT guy, like let's say you're director of IT or VP of IT in your company, and you see half of your budget going away, because you're a cost center, it's freaking profit center. And so it's not profit. You're beholden to whatever the company gives you in terms of cost to operate the functions you're supposed to be performing, right? Half that's going away. You've got to somehow remain relevant, right? Well, guess what? You see a lot of IT directors and VPs now embracing wholeheartedly strategies around how to deploy IoT in their company. I'll give you one example. $3.5 billion electric motor manufacturer in Beloit, Wisconsin. They're an old company, right? They make electric motors for guys. Everything's like 2.5 horsepower, like 4,000 or 5,000 horsepower. And they're one of my customers. And the VP of Infrastructure and Innovation, Ed Young. And Ed came to me, we were talking one day, I go, Ed, what are you going to do with digital transformation? You're not there yet. You've got to get going. I mean, your asset is prime for what you build, prime for IoT, and it's going to help your company create better efficiencies, better margins, better customer service, more rapid product deployment of new products. And he said, Rick, I don't know what to do. So him and Mike Watson, the CTO, I gave him this book. Okay? I said, guys, read this. And come to find out what Ed told me, he goes, I don't have any money anymore. My money is getting diverted over to digital transformation, and it's just sitting there because we don't know how to deploy it. We have no idea about IoT and how to go about doing any of this. And they're operating on Oracle, really old ERP type system, and it sucks. And I said, guys, that Oracle can't be your IoT cloud platform. You've got to have something different than that. Because IoT has different requirements on the platform side than an ERP system has. It's not capable of doing it. You can't just take Oracle and start using it as your communication tool and your data gathering tool and your analytics tool for all these connected devices in the field. It doesn't work that way, okay? So now they settle on Avnet's cloud platform, which is really Azure-based, which is Microsoft Azure's cloud platform. But the point is that he saw, the VP of Infrastructure saw that he had no more money and he had to remain relevant to his company. So he was really the spearhead or the key driver in getting executive sponsorship at the C-level for IoT deployments or initiatives inside the company. So he was smart in doing it. He was smart. And you're seeing a lot, or I'm seeing a lot of IT executives doing the same thing. This is just early adopters, and we're kind of at the beginning of, I wouldn't say early adoption, we're at the beginning of it starting to mature from a mentality point of view, and if you want to go do it. Not mature, as that previous slide showed you, not mature from a deployment point of view. I mean, if 70% of companies are just investigating IoT, that doesn't mean it's mature. What it means is they are thinking about it and they really see the value in it and they want to go explore and do something, just not quite sure yet how to start. That's why one of the other things we do is consulting, where we do workshops. I was in Italy, I don't know, 2 years ago or whatever, and we had decided to workshop for a company, again, no freaking clues what they want to do with IoT, but they want to do something because their market was saturated. What they make are super high-end espresso machines. Like they're $15,000, $20,000 for the commercial kind, like Starbucks, Peet's Coffee, that kind of stuff. If you want to buy one for your house, it's like $3,500 or $4,000. Oh, yeah, I don't have an espresso machine that expensive, and nor can I afford one. And what they had a problem with was our market's screwed. We're at the top. You have nowhere to grow. And the two largest coffee consuming areas in the world are India and Africa, which I did not know. And they said, well, we want to penetrate this market, but nobody can afford our machines. I go, duh. So, rocket science to figure that out. Anyway, so we had all the different representatives in this room on this 2-day workshop. We had the VP of marketing. Well, they're all decision maker type people, directors and VPs are all. Nobody individual contributors. We had marketing, we had engineering, obviously IT, manufacturing, quality, customer service, sales, CFO was in there, blah, blah. And we go through this thing for 2 days, and I'm about halfway through. I go, okay, so that's your use case, your business outcome. You want to drive additional market share, or you want to drive market share, period, in these developing countries, I'll call them. They go, yeah, that's what we all want to do. We all were aligned. Well, perfect. I got to, how about this as a solution? You look at your coffee makers, your espresso machine, and just make a cheaper version to sell it. You'll take off a few dozen whistles. Well, you thought was going to try and kill one of the kids. They were like beside themselves. They go, you cannot say that. I go, why? It's, just make a cheaper version. Well, due to me, they are very, 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 very protective of their brand. It's a very high-end brand. It's very well known. And it's called Loma Zoco, by the way. They're really cool and kind of. But anyway, they said, we can't diminish our brand. Let's have a good point. I go, okay, all right, good idea. I said, how long do these machines last? They said about 15, 20 years. I go, holy moly. I said, I don't know the CFO on the planet who depreciates an asset of $20,000 more than 5 years. Get that, you need 3 years. And you had these things for 15, 20 years. And again, you're selling to commercial businesses and stuff, right? And so I said, well, why don't you, after like 10 years, offer a brand new one for half price or 70% off or whatever, get the old one, polish it up, and now it's zero cost basis, now you can sell it to India and Africa all damn day. It's an awesome idea. One problem. We don't know where they are. The ones in the field. So they can't exchange, because they go through exporters and importers, and they really have no idea where the freaking things are sitting. They can be sitting in the Starbucks right across the street. Or in London, they have no idea. So there was the use case. What that use case was make the Loma Zoco machine itself, the espresso machine, connected, giving off location, giving off understanding of the the purity of the water, measuring the consumption of beans, because they also had a side business where they were delivering coffee beans, ground beans for the machine. And so now they had a very visible look at not only the machine, where it was located, how it was performing, but additional revenue model where they can then do auto replenishment on the beans. Happier than hell. But never would have understood that, never would have got that out unless we all hadn't sat in the room for 2 days and gone through all this. That's why the consultative piece of IoT is so damn important. Okay, so IoT is not or should not ever be driven by engineering. Bad move. Business, drive it because you've got to drive an outcome. You have to understand the outcome. You have to understand the use case before you can ever begin to construct a solution. Okay? This isn't about product development where you just go out and you get a customer survey and figure out, okay, I need my new widget to be purple instead of green, and that'll be my new product. That's not how it works. These are outcome-based business strategies that need to be developed and understood inside the company. Engineering and IT have to be a part of it, absolutely. But they cannot drive it. It's got to be driven by P&L owners, people who own products, right? Because until they understand or they have a good idea of what they want in terms of an outcome, you don't know what to design. Okay, we talked about data transmission. Okay, well, if I'm picking up a bunch of data, I'm going to transmit all of it because I want to have real-time access to everything, but it doesn't mean a hell of beans in terms of business outcome. All I do is drive up my cost. That makes no sense, right? So you've got to have involvement and alignment from all the parties, okay? And this is who needs to be involved, right? Line of business guys, line of business owners, HR, marketing, IT, engineering, all that, right? The alternative business model, data as a service. A lot of the things you collect as a customer, as a company, is valuable data to somebody. Could be really valuable to you as a company. Could be valuable to your customer. Could be valuable to your customer's customer. Could be valuable to your supplier. Data's the new oil. You've heard that term before, ever kicked around by anybody? No. True. Okay. So I told you about the Rolls Royce, powered by the hour on the jet engine. I told you about the coffee maker. Elevators. I was over in Munich, and the company is a what do you call it? A service elevator. A service elevator. No, make a service. And only get to it. Okay. I'll get that in a second. Outcome, we keep talking about it, that's an outcome. Okay, can you read that? It says, people don't need a drill, they need a 1/4 inch hole. Think about that. Why do you buy a drill? You buy a drill just to look at it? Well, you might. I don't. You buy a drill because you want a freaking hole. The hole is the value. The hole is the outcome. That's what you want, right? You buy a jet engine because you want a flat plane. You don't want to buy a jet engine just to look at it. Does that make sense, guys? So you've got all kinds of things popping up in terms of as a service model. That whole CapEx to OpEx, that works just the same way on a positive level when you look back at the company building it. Because now they have a more consistent revenue stream. Think about it. If I'm Rolls Royce, I get big pops when guys buy a bunch of jet engines. Big pop, big revenue, right? Now you go buy a jet engine for $3 million. Everybody's got them. Rolls Royce still has the same operating or same overhead, same expenses from an operating point of view. They have no freaking profit coming in because there's no revenue. It's not consistent. Well, if you have consistent operating expenses on that side, on the customer side, you'll have consistent operating income, if you will, or profitability coming on your side. That makes sense, right? It kind of balances out. So, connect the elevator. This is these guys in the unit called Homes. They serve about 200,000 homes. And this actually came from the National Association of Elevator Contractors. It's a conference they have every year, and they puts it on. And I've been to this conference. I've been in high tech my whole life, so I kind of walk around and stuff like this all day. When I was there, I was the only person that didn't have work boots and a tool belt. It was uncomfortable. I didn't know what to do. I was talking about software and IoT cloud platforms to people who had screwdrivers and work boots on. So I had to figure out what the hell was their big problem in their industry. That's the problem right there. Every elevator breaks twice a year. I don't care who elevator it is. Besides the cruise elevator, it could be Otis, it could be Schindler, it could be anybody, right? Elevator breaks twice a year. It's break for basically one reason. About 8% of breaks are door misalignments, break-ins of the doors break, right? Whether they break and don't open or don't close, or they're misaligned and don't land right like that. They land like this or like this. So, break twice a year. Every time it breaks, they got to go out there. And it takes 3.4 visits for every break to fix it. These aren't my numbers. This is NAEC, right? And for every 3.4 visits, 2 breaks a year, that's 6.8 visits, right? Okay? And 3 hours on average to fix the elevator, or for each visit when they go out there. So 6.8 times 3 hours. So and the average cost to roll a truck in the U.S. is $2 a minute. A little genius, but when your ROI is less than 4 months, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. But what we did was, we did this for the guys in Europe, we connected the elevator. We put, I don't know, 30 or 40 sensors all throughout the elevator, measuring everything, cables and the cabs and the travel time, the travel distance, and the weight in the elevators, the doors, how they're beginning to misalign. We were able to predict when they were going to break before they broke. So you can grow that 6.8 visits a year down to 2 visits a year. You still had 2 breaks because, again, they're going to break. Most of it's the doors, but they're going to break. But 2 visits a year versus 6.8. Your ROI is less than 4 months. That's a freaking no-brainer for anybody who runs anything in terms of finance, right? Does that make sense? That's the power of IoT, okay? Harley Davidson's another one. I have a lot of time left. Avnet did a smart healthcare where we drove a bunch of minutes down on taking vials for a customer or for a patient. Smart retail, this predictability of automated vending machines and connecting the vending machines so you monitor usage, you monitor product mix, and give higher velocity to the higher velocity to the inventory, and obviously increase sales. And then the remote monitoring of products is basically what we've been talking about relative to asset and getting it communicated back to you. This is another one as a service. Compressed air. Again, why do you buy a compressor? You don't buy a compressor because you want compressor. You buy a compressor because you want compressed air. Same thing with the water filter. You don't buy a water filter for a water filter sake. You buy a water filter because you want clean water. Right? Why not charge for the value of what you want? You don't want the compressor. You want the compressed air. Get charged for that. Don't pay all up front this big huge price tag for a compressed or for an air compressor if you can pay pennies for the compressed air, which you're more than likely going to use in the performance of a service for a customer. You're gonna get money for, again, OpEx being consistent with the profitability you generate off the service cost of selling. Does that make sense? So I go through that. You guys won't like that. Okay. Oh, that's the thrust, the Rolls-Royce thing. Again, focus on the bottom layer when you're deploying in an IoT environment. The bottom layer, the vision or strategy of the company and the IoT business case or use case that you're trying to achieve, along with the outcome the company wants in terms of the business performance model. Again, when you're doing things, that's why I believe so much in the workshops and consulting up front. Not because I do them, but because I see it work. Because you spend a lot of time figuring out what the hell you want to do, what your challenges are in the business case that you want to attack, and what the outcome is you want. It's a hell of a lot better to start doing that. The designing of the end-to-end solution will be much quicker and much more efficient when you understand what the hell it is you're trying to do in the first place on the outcome, right? And this is probably Einstein who said this, right? If I got 1 hour before plant's going to blow up and I have to save it, I'll spend 55 minutes figuring out the problem. Okay? And how to get started. This is the business model canvas I use for workshops. This is what I want to get to at the end. IoT is really exploding. It's going to, this is the kind of people we need. I say we, I mean the industry, not just Avnet necessarily, although what we just do. They're a combination of a technology background combined with a very strong business understanding and acumen. So, yeah, I don't know what your curriculums look like or anything, but I just look at, from a business perspective, what you want to kind of understand a little bit of. When we talk a lot about CapEx and OpEx and ROI, ROA, asset velocity, asset utilization, ROWC, which is return on working capital, ROIC, return on invested capital. All those things, that's part of the conversation you have to have with the customer to understand their outcomes and talk in their language. That's why CFOs are so important. When you're talking to customers initially about IoT deployments and specific projects and outcomes they want to achieve, CFOs have a lot to say about it, a lot to say. He'll have the final say, if you will, on deployments and where to spend the money, right? But it's not just about business. You got to have technology, otherwise none of this is going to work, right? So you have to have an understanding of cloud. I don't think you need to be a component engineer and design at the circuitry level, but certainly cloud understanding is good. IS, information systems, is good. So anyway, that's the kind of stuff we look for. And with that, it's 4:26. Oh, I don't know. Oh, I have a watch. 4:22. You guys have any questions for me? None? Okay. Ryan, anything else? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see it.
How does your company deploy this technology and make the training money? Is it just a one-time install it?
No, that's a really good question. Companies who deploy IoT solutions in concert with customers or on behalf of customers. A lot of what we get in terms of revenue is it comes in 2 areas. One is the hardware, chips or gateways, right? Selling a hardware, but also, and more important, really, is the recurring revenue model that you get off of deploying the cloud solutions for them with the apps, with the dashboards, with the analytics and visualization. We get money every time they transmit data. So that's the recurring revenue model piece of it, and so we get money there. And that's where I focus most of my energy, to try to drive the trade solutions that where we have a recurring revenue model versus just sell the hardware one time. That's not database. It's our IoT cloud platform. Yeah, and we have agreements with great nations and we provide them all these guys, right? We're in charge for the transmission of the data. That's another piece of the puzzle. But the hardware, we sell the hardware. We've been selling that for 98 years. So, yeah.
The number in the hardware you sell.
Yes. 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 All of it. about $20 billion. Most of that $20 billion is it range from selling components, everything from caps and connectors and resistors and AD converters, VDA converters, processors, we get Intel, PI, ADI, Xilinx, Altera, everybody. So about 400 of those guys, right? And so we've been selling that stuff for like. And so, and also gateways, Dell, Cisco, HP, Advantech, almost all the gateways.
Are you guys like, or are you like a part or
No. We are just, in that vein, in that piece of our business, we're a distributor. We buy from Intel, from TI, from ADI, from Xilinx, and we buy it. Sometimes we hold in stock. We've got a supply chain program where we're trying to facilitate just-in-time kind of delivery of the material. But yeah, we don't have a fab. We don't make any. If you guys want to get hold of me, I'll be hard with the doctor here. Or you can, so I'm going to send you a presentation. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Have a good day. Oh, this? Yeah, Bruce Sinclair, Al County Continent. I recommend that book, so I like.
Well, I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
Like, I can do a lot of